I'll try to acquire Ryan. Kelly, go ahead and.
Okay. Well, hi guys. Let's see who we've got on here. Damien, Patrick, Linda, myself, Todd, and Roy. I think that's about everybody. We're expecting some other people, so they might join in progress. First of all, are you guys having any problems hearing me or seeing me? Just go ahead and type in the group chat if you do. Or don't. Okay, I'm assuming everybody's good.
No, I can't get into that group chat. I wonder what's going on. Huh.
So over in the left, if you hover your mouse over the left side of the screen, the toolbar pops up. Up at the top, there's a little blue dialog. Okay. You should be able to type in the bottom.
There we go. Okay, but no, it wasn't showing the. There we go.
Okay.
There we go. All right.
All right. Now, can you paste that link?
Sure.
In here. Let's see if Ryan can follow this. Link. Sorry, guys. It's similar. Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
So, does anybody else want to turn on their microphones and say hi? You got a microphone?
Hey. It's like Hangouts. You just got to slowly get to know people here.
Yeah. Oh, no mic. Okay. Well, maybe next time. Okay, guys.
That's Ryan.
So I guess we're going to have to rely on, you're going to have to just type in the group chat if you guys have questions. I'll have Melinda monitor it, and just in case I'm missing out on something. But basically, this is a first-time user group, and we're trying out the Google Hangouts, and as you can see, we have a few technical difficulties, but I think we'll get everything worked out. This is really it's public, but really, we've only sent out invites to just a select group of XMod Pro customers. These are good customers, long-time customers, people who've been active in the community, things like that. So I'm glad that you're all here, and I hope that we can make a regular thing of this. One of the things I wanted to do before we left tonight is maybe come up with a good regular interval for when we should have these user groups. Obviously, we want to have at least once a month, but I'm up for doing something more frequently and maybe at different times throughout the month so that people have more of a chance to engage. I see Ryan finally got on. Hey, Ryan.
There we go.
Good deal. All right. Let me give you some controls here. There we go. All right. So I was just kind of introducing the concept here. Everybody, my name's Kelly, and I'm the developer of XMod Pro, and the head know-it-all, no better creative, which makes XMod Pro and DNNDev. My wife Melinda is monitoring the boards, so she'll be able to watch your messages as they come in.
Hi, everyone.
That was Melinda. And I was hoping that everybody could introduce themselves, but not everybody has the microphones set up. So for those that do, first of all, Patrick, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Patrick, and I own a small website company, Reflect Media Group, and as well as I've work and work within the XMod Pro community. But I've been in web development for, I don't know, over 10 years, I guess. It's maybe somewhere starting in 2003, 2004. And my role is just I'm a passionate XModder, and so as far as background goes, it's started as front end, and now I'm doing development work. So that's there's a short story where I'm at. Wife, kids, family, lots of kids.
And you're in Kentucky?
I am. I'm in Kentucky. Don't tell everybody. This is confidentiality within the group, I'm assuming.
All right, I want to hand out your address or phone number.
My name is Patrick, and I live in Kentucky, and I'm addicted to XMod Pro. How's that?
Roy, you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah, I'm a beginner XModder. I'm more of a front-end developer. Been doing websites for, oh boy, about 8 years now. I have a company called Pine Point Creative, and I've been working with Kelly on a few private projects and letting him do all the heavy lifting. But so I would consider myself a beginner. So just learning what XMod can do and working on my jQuery skills and all that good stuff. So that's my story.
All right, good. We hope you can get a lot out of this as the sessions roll on. Nope, Todd says he's also a dude. Okay, good. Happy to have you. Gerald, Hutch, I see you've joined us. You have your mic on? Yeah, Gerald. Hutch, you there with us? I see your face.
I can see Hutch. Hey, Hutch.
Okay, we'll let you make new to Hangouts, so we'll let you get the hang of the Hangout interface. Make sure your mic isn't muted, and then you'll be able to talk along with the rest of us. You can also type in the group chat window, which you can find in the toolbar that pops up on the left-hand side of your screen. It's a button up towards the top. Hopefully that works for you. If not, we'll try to work it out. We'll move on while Hutch is figuring that out and move on to Ryan. Ryan, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi there, I'm Ryan Moore. My company's More Creative Company. Been working with Kelly for plenty of years here. Started our company in '97, so we're 17, 18 years in. And myself, I'm a developer, all-around general person, have some design experience and development experience enough to run the crew and get them pointed in the right directions. So, passionate XMod Pro enthusiast, and if you run across me at DNN World or any of the community events that I can make it out to, you can hear me talk about it nonstop.
I think many of you will recognize Patrick and Ryan from their involvement in the community, of course Hutch as well. But Patrick and Ryan also are developing add-ons for the XMod Pro community. Am I too soft, Ryan? Am I good?
Say again?
I saw you adjusted my video. Am I talking too softly?
I adjusted the microphone just a touch because there was a little bit soft.
Okay. So they develop add-ons, custom form controls, for instance, custom views and solutions for XMod Pro. So check that out. We have an add-ons page on the website that you can check out. I'll talk more about that a little bit later. Hutch, have you gotten your mic working?
I think so. Can you hear me?
I can barely.
Yeah, you might need to turn it up. I can see your mouth moving.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get a little more volume here.
Oh, so close.
So close.
Actually, I just turned them up.
Did you turn them up?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Barely, yeah.
I'm not sure what's going on here. Let me see if I can.
Is your mic in your laptop, or do you have a separate mic?
I got a headset laying here. Tell me if this is helping any. How about now?
Still pretty soft.
Well, I'll holler.
That also works.
Yeah. We'll try this. Can you give us a short little introduction, Hutch? We'll all try to stay quiet and listen.
Well, I'm probably the newbie around here compared to all the rest of you guys. I'm not haven't been a developer for very long at all. I'm still kind of learning how to code, and been working with DNN sites for a long time, probably 4 or 5 years now, and started messing around with XMod and got hooked. So I'm hoping that I don't know that I'll have a whole lot to offer, but I'm hoping I'll learn a bunch from listening to you guys today.
Good. Hutch, where are you located?
Well, I'm in British Columbia, up in Canada.
Okay. So we're now officially international?
Yes, we are.
Okay, now we have...
living in Canada.
Say again?
I said I'm an American living in Canada.
Okay. An expat. We also have Damien and Todd are with us, but they are essentially micless. Damien, can you tell us where you're from? I won't force you to type out your whole life story. What state are you in, or country? Wisconsin, okay. And Todd, where are you at? Todd is feverishly typing. It's a very long state. Oh, okay. I thought you might have been from Yohara. I love Yohara. Tell John I said hi. And Todd is in Buffalo. Okay, so pretty good. All right, now this is kind of an intro user group. We're not going to have a huge session. I did want to leave some time for you guys to ask questions, provide some feedback, things like that. One of the things that I did have planned is I wanted to, first of all, get to know you all, and then tell you a little bit about what's coming up in version 4.6 of XMod Pro. You will be the very first person to hear of it, everyone in the group. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about developing for XMod Pro, and then we'll kind of open up the floor or the chat window, as it may be, and get you guys feedback and see where you want to take this thing. Does that sound good?
Fantastic.
Good.
Good. Okay. Well, without further ado, let me start a screen share here. And beans. All right. Thanks, Todd. I am going to start a screen share. For some reason, this Google Hangout interface is messing with my mouse. Give me a second here. There it is. Wow, weird. All right. And I'm going to share my screen with you. Most of you can probably recognize what that is. Can you see it okay?
Yep.
Holler if you can't see it.
Yep. You're in good shape.
Todd and Damien, you good with it? You read it okay? And Hutch? You have to be fast on those keyboards, guys.
Good.
Okay. Okay, so the primary new feature that I have in XMod Pro 4.6 is called the XMod each tag. This is a template tag. And if you've used XMod Pro for any length of time, you probably run into an issue with multi-select lists and checkbox lists, and with things like some of the new file upload controls add-ons that are out there. Most of the time, those controls will store your selected values as a delimited value in your database, because with SQL you can't really pass a variable number of parameters. You have to have a set number of parameters. So XMod Pro's solution for that is to essentially pack all of the values that you've selected, say, in the list box into one field and send that off to the database, and it allows you to go ahead and parse those values out and store them however you want in your database, which works really well, but it is kind of a hassle when you want to come and display things from that packed value. And so what I've done is I've come up with something called the each tag, and if you're familiar with some of the JavaScript templates or JavaScript, the each tag is used in a lot of these new libraries that are coming out. And essentially what it is it's a for each loop. For each item in a list, it is going to do something. So that's why I've named it each. And let me show you specifically what it does. This is all one record here that I have displayed for you. This is a raw value. So the answer here is 1, pipe 2, pipe 3, pipe 5, pipe 6. You're probably familiar with that. That's kind of the standard way that values are stored using XMod Pro. I also have an images field, which has a big long list here of 3 images. And if you look closely, you can see that they are separated by pipes as well. So the each tag allows us to split these values up based on that pipe and do something with it, much like you would with a regular XMod Pro template. Let me show you how that works. Let me open up the editor for this. And here we go. Most of this is just boilerplate stuff for getting your data. I want to direct your attention to here. This is the first each tag, and this is how it will work. basically you are going to just specify a value, and this could be a hard-coded delimited value. And I think we got something from Todd. Okay, let me try. Tell me if that is good, Todd.
Much better.
Okay. Todd, you good with that? Okay, cool. So here's the each tag. I need to move my Hangout window over a little bit so I can read Todd's message. There you go. All right. Yeah, if you guys have problems or questions, go ahead and type in the group chat window there, and I'll see if I can. I'll keep an eye on it.
Okay.
Okay, and Melinda will too. All right, so here's the each tag. I try to make this as simple as possible and as familiar as possible. So the each tag really just has one property. Well, it's got two properties really. The value property, and for that you just put in your field token of that contains the compressed or the packed delimited text. You can also specify a delimiter value. So this doesn't have to be pipe delimited. You could use commas or semicolons or however you've chosen to delimit your data. You can use that with the delimiter property. In my case, the default is the pipe property because that's what the default is in XMod Pro. In here, you are able to specify a multitude of different types of templates, much like you would in an XMod Pro template tag. You can specify a header template, an item template, an alternating item template, a separator template, and a footer template. And those are optional. The only one that's required is the item template tag right here. And what's going to happen is it's going to loop. It's going to split apart your value. So the numbers. Remember those 1 pipe, 2 pipe, 3 pipe. The tag is going to split those apart on the pipe and give you the remaining text back. And it's wherever you put in the placeholder value, it's going to place that value in there each time through the loop. This is still in progress. My development is. So right now, I have a bug with the alternating item template and some of the other things, some of the other placeholders like index and count. But when this gets released, the index placeholder is going to give you the number, one base number for the number of the item, so that you can do like a numbered list if you wanted to, or use that for IDs if you need to in a tag. And then also it has a count placeholder, which will be replaced just by the number of items in the list, which could be useful if you want to say, hey, you have 10 pictures in this list or something like that. And that's all there is to it. A nice thing is the separator template. Patrick has a question. Does index start at 0 or 1? It starts at 1. Now, one of the things I want to do is get some feedback from you guys on this particular tag before we go live with it. A programmer naturally asks the question, does it start at 0 or 1? My feeling on this is that it should start at 1 because in the real world where people are reading your pages or the output of your data, people are thinking 1-based items. So it starts at 1. Now, if you think it's important, either now or as a future feature, I could add an option to make it 0-based if you wanted to. So, and I can see where that can come in handy if you're doing something with JavaScript, for instance. But for now, it's 1-based.
Right.
Yeah.
Kelly, how about the value when you're putting it in inside of the item template or the alternating item template? Have you, because this is nested inside of a template, inside of this each, are we able to use some other things like maybe an XMod select inside of there, or is that for the future?
That's technically possible. I haven't done the testing on that to see exactly what's available or what's going to be available. I think that for the initial 1.0 release of this, we should plan on it just being straight HTML and text output, because in most cases that's all you need. Mm-hmm. However, I see a value in being able to embed some types of conditional templates.
Yeah, some
from XMod Pro.
Damien wants to know, does the delimiter need to be a single character?
No, it can be any set of characters. So you could make it actually a comma and space, and it would delimit on that. It could be a word. It could be something like like hashtag delimiter, hashtag, something like that.
Very cool.
How about the fact that you're using curly braces for the value and for the for the value and the index and the count there? Unless that's just the zoom level, and those are actually square brackets.
No, those are actually curly braces.
Is that the first place in XMod Pro where you're using curly braces? I know in XMod Classic we used to have them mixed in and out.
Yeah, no, this is actually one of the reasons I chose the curly brace was because if you use the pager template, the display template for the pager tag, it uses curly braces for placeholders. And so to me, I don't have a lot of use of this type of placeholder in XMod Pro right now, but I wanted to be consistent with what I do have.
Actually,
so, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just said I really do like the syntax of that. I can see that syntax going a long way in other areas as well.
Okay. Gerald, what are your thoughts? Or Hutch?
Well, I don't know. I think it looks great. I have no, like I said, I don't completely understand what's happening here, but I think I do.
Stick around. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's why I'm hanging out with you guys. Somebody told me a long time ago to hang around with people that know more than you do.
That's smart man. Smart man.
Damien had a follow-up question.
Sure, Damien. Does a delimiter need to be a single? Does that indicate the scope of the token? Not quite sure on that question. So, can you clarify a bit, Damien? Right. So each time through, so for each item in your list, index would only apply to that one item. But it would be the number of that item in the list. So if your list had 10 items, your index after it's done looping would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and through 10. Does that answer your question? So are you asking, can you mix a field token with the index placeholder? Well, Todd, you could do that. You could create a CSV export with feeds, and we can talk about that. Ryan has created a module kit that does all sorts of things with the feeds, and so he can probably answer that one better. But I want to make sure that I've answered Damien's question first.
Yeah, Todd, I'll pass you a link here real quick. If you haven't checked out the module kit for feeds, it shows you how to make several standard types of file exports with XMod Pro. XML, XLS, CSV, Word, print, RSS, that's a pretty gamut right there.
I'm just responding to Damien here.
Oh, I understand, Lisa.
Right now, my best guess is that I can't give you an answer as to whether or not the other field tokens will be available inside of the each tag. It really is designed for those situations where you really just need to split a value. My goal was to make it simple to use, flexible, but not overly complex. And so I haven't really focused on that as a use case yet, but it's definitely something I'm going to look into. Cool.
To add into Kelly's reply there for Damien about this, this is the kind of thing that we've needed many times before, and we'll rely on SQL to do that work for us. When I'm doing XMod Pro training with people and explaining them how to get the most and the best out of XMod Pro, I'll explain that you have to know how to use the code inside of XMod Pro, you have to know how to use jQuery, and I'll go this way, know how to use jQuery, and you have to know how to get the most out of SQL with stored procedures and actions in SQL. And packing and unpacking that array is something that you've had to do in SQL before. So if you had a multi-select list or a checkbox list, then either you saved that array to the database as an array, or you had a stored procedure that took that value and then parsed it, broke it apart, and then saved individual records or did some action like that. But that's been what we've always done, is we've always built a stored procedure. We've read in an array, we've saved out an array to individual records, and when we need to read back in, we have an array builder that will read the records and turn it into an array to put it back into XMod Pro to display in a form or something. Here, this would allow you to keep saving stuff as a blob inside of one data field, and leave it as an array, and then read that data in and out. I wouldn't want to do that for thousands of records. I wouldn't want to do that for hundreds of records. But I can see plenty of situations where right now I have to go trouble Dustin, our SQL developer, to make me a stored procedure to pack or unpack an array, and with this, I wouldn't have to.
Yeah, that's the primary reason behind this, is just to make it faster to do things. Part of my goal in upcoming versions of XMod Pro is to try to make development with XMod Pro easier. So you might see me adding what developers like to call syntactic sugar to the XMod Pro language. And so there might be ways to do this. Like Ryan said, you can do this right now using SQL or JavaScript. But this makes it just so much easier to do. You don't have to worry about even knowing SQL or JavaScript to make this work. So that's kind of some of the things that I want to start focusing on with XMod Pro. We got a ton of changes coming up over the next few versions. So this is just an initial kind of glimpse into where we're going and where we're headed. I hope you like it. Any other questions?
This is a nice feature addition.
Okay, so since I'm not seeing any questions, I will move on. Does the tag name each, does that make sense to you guys? Because we're at a pre-release stage, and I can still actually change it and change some of the syntax. I think it works the way it is, but I would love to have your feedback. This is one of the benefits you get for joining the user group.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, everybody, but maybe they'd like to see a couple examples or hear a couple examples, if you didn't state them already, of actual use cases.
Okay.
A few of them said they're totally new, so they may not have had the opportunity to run into this issue of needing type of solution.
Well, so this first each tag takes the value, the numbered values that I showed you earlier, and splits them apart just with a comma. So basically it turns into a comma-separated list with an additional space, so it looks nicer, just nice formatting for your end users. The second one, which you may have seen, I didn't point out, is I'm taking the XMod each tag, and you can see I'm only using the item template here. But I have a field in the database called image, which actually has one or more images in it, and I'm using that to create. First of all, outside of the each tag, I've added an opening UL tag and a closing UL tag. I could also put this in the header template and footer template if I wanted to, but there's no need for it. And then inside of the each tag, I have an item template, followed by an opening list item template, and then the image tag, which has the hard-coded source to my image, followed by, you guessed it, the value, which is actually the file name in the image thing, and then closes out the li tag. So again, I'm working with that field token, and that has height delimited file names in it. So what do we get for all of that? We get first of all, for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you can see here I've got 1, 3, and 6. Those are the item templates. The space and the comma, that's the alternating item template, which is currently non-functional because I broke it before before our session today.
Just for the meeting.
You're fired.
Yeah. Then this is the actual value of the images column. And you can see these are just really long names for JPEG files. You can see after the JPEG file, it is separated by a pipe. So I have 3 pipe delimited file names there. And this is the unordered list that I created using that each tag. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This would be great for like showing images on in a detailed template instead of having to use a feed or you know, like Ryan was talking about. I've had to do this before and create a single field token, which is actually from SQL, creates all the LI elements and the image names and everything. This is great.
Thinking about list items is my thought of what would be useful. Let's imagine we have a form in which we have a checkbox list in which people can choose their preferences on things they're interested in. And instead of then just showing that back out again as a bullet point list, we could show it back out as titles with a div and colors, and we can make them into squares or maybe do the mortar style presentation for things. So I imagine it here as display of things or choices in an array is my thing I'm eager to go do with it as soon as we get it released.
And you know, one of the other options for those of you who are into JavaScript, as you know, you can use XMod Pro to generate JavaScript, and that becomes very useful in a lot of cases. You could probably use this, and I don't have a particular use case for it yet, because I just haven't thought too much about it yet, but sometimes it's very hard to get values out of a field like this and generate JavaScript from it. You end up having to parse all sorts of stuff, and this will allow you to basically render out JavaScript in essentially in a for each loop. So that works out really well.
Yeah.
I see that Jeremy looks like he joined us. Jeremy, you there? I think he's muted too. There he is. Everybody say hi to Jeremy.
Hi,
Thanks,
Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Oh, Jeremy France.
And someone else joined us, I think, too. Don't know who. Can't tell. Oh, that's Todd. Oh, Todd, you finally got a picture up. Good. All right. So that is my main presentation. I do want to show you one other thing, and hopefully I haven't broken this. If we go to the control panel now, and I'm sorry, I'm going to have to scroll out a little bit in a moment. And we go to the Manage Templates and select a template. Yes, good. It still works. So let me zoom in a little bit. You might notice something that looks a little different in the screen. These arrows here in the line number gutter. This allows you to fold up your code to get it out of the way.
Nice.
You can see other parts of your code. And this is something that I've just been dying for a long time, because I have a lot of templates that are really large, and you'll be able to do this with forms as well. As a matter of fact, I think I can do that. But you can either click on the little blue double arrow to unlock it, or uncompress it, and you can pack up other stuff too. What I find really neat about this is you'll notice a lot of times you'll get, you know, you're writing the first opening tag for an HTML element in the header template, and you've got the closing one in your footer template. You'll notice that the code folding it'll span these, you know, the item and the alternating item templates. So this actually is going to close up the whole UL tag, like so. So you can get that whole thing out of the way. That should make it a lot easier to comprehend what's going on in these larger templates. So that's the other main thing that I wanted to show you. I think it's very cool. I don't care if you like it at all, because I love it. And I have a feeling that you'll like it too, because it just makes life a lot easier in getting apart the thing. So this is an example of me in the form editor. Sound cool?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
It does.
Okay. There is one other minor change that we made. that I want to draw your attention to. I don't really have an example of this for you, but if we go to the configure page, you're familiar with the custom module settings here. You can set on a per module basis. So I've added a setting here called item 1, and that has a value of 1.
Right.
That allows me to use that in the template as a custom value, essentially. Prior to version 4.6, you had to hard code the value, but we've added some additional dynamism, I guess you could call it, for version 4.6. So now, you can see here, you can use tokens as your setting values too. So this means that you can make your templates even more dynamic, make them more abstract, and you can change how they operate based on a parameter, for instance, that you pass in via the URL.
So based on module instance here, you might have it be a URL value, so it's a query string one time, but in another use of this same template or same form code, you could then have it be by form post, for instance.
Well, no. So, well, yes, you could.
Yeah, you would just change out this value so it's that you don't have to change it in the template. Okay.
Correct. Yes, that's one good way to do it. Another option is that maybe you pass in, who knows what this TID value actually is, but in 2 different instances you can pass in this TID for your parameter. Maybe you have a set, what's the phrase I'm looking for, set format for your URLs, and they always pass in a TID parameter on different pages. Well, you can have your different templates react to the same thing using the same module setting name. This is something that I think this is not really what a lot of people are going to use, but for people who use custom module settings, I think this is going to give you another level of abstraction. It should work with most tokens. It's not going to work with, this is a question from Damien asking if it will work with all tokens. It will work with things like the URL parameter tags, form tags, portal tokens. It's not going to work with field tokens, obviously, because this is not part of the returned data set. But some of the things you can do is you can use this module setting. So I've called this setting item 2. Let's see if we can actually make this work. Let's go to a template here. And actually I have about 4, I have 4, what am I trying to say? 4 records, there we go, wow. 4 records in the database for this frequently asked questions table. And you'll notice that I have added a parameter here. This is what I set up when I was testing. And I'm using the token for the custom module settings. And it's looking to item 2. And you remember that is pointing to the URL parameter called TID. So let me replace this where ID equals 4 to where ID equals @ID. All right, so that means it's going to be using this parameter now. Save that. And we have no results because there is no parameter being passed in. But if I go up to my URL and I pass in TID 4, hit it, then you'll see that our record shows up. If I set it to 3, we'll get a different record, which shows up as well. This doesn't have any delimited values in it, so they're not showing up. But I mean, you could easily change this to URL TID, just as you've been doing in the past. But this gives you another layer of abstraction. You can reuse your templates in more places this way. For kind of advanced use, but for those people who could use it, I think it'll be helpful. Any questions?
No, it's very useful.
Nice.
Cool. Jeremy, can you hear us okay? Okay, your mic is muted, but I saw you nod. So, okay. There we go. Hi, Jeremy. Oh, still not hearing you. So I know your mic is off now, but I can't hear you for some reason. I don't know if anybody else can.
No.
Technical problems from my first session here, but we'll get it worked out. Okay, that's primarily what I have to show you. couple of other things I wanted to run down real quick. And I have a note. First of all, I wanted to do a little showing off, if you didn't mind. Oh shoot! I've lost my links. Okay. Hey Patrick, can you give me those links that you sent me earlier from the DNN Showcase in the store?
Yeah, give me just 1 second.
Okay.
For the blog?
Yeah, that's one of them. Actually, I think I can do this. Let me see. Oh, I got it.
Got it? Okay.
I got one of them at least. I got the showcase. I just wanted to, Patrick pointed this out, and I kind of wanted to show it off to you guys. This is DNNsoftware.com. This is DNN Corp's website. And this is a page that Patrick found on it. This is actually the page that they use to allow you to show off your web designs. And if you look closely, if we look at the source for this page, and let me actually inspect an element here. And we look closely, we will see right here that this is actually an XMod Pro module.
Nice.
So we were kind of pleased with that. We know that they're already using XMod Pro in their timeline, the project history timeline. And I'm trying to remember where that was.
Underneath the community, and it's hidden deep.
I thought I saw it up here on the top.
The project history?
Probably about.
Was it not project history under community?
No, yeah, there it is. Thank you. So if you've used our timeline module kit, you'll recognize this. We don't take credit for the timeline kit itself. We do take credit with the help of Ryan here. We take credit with the help for enabling the timeline to be hooked up to your own data through XMod Pro. And so we see that DNN is also using it, XMod Pro for their history, project history. So that was pretty cool. And then there was one other thing I wanted to show you. And I don't know, what would it be? DNN Store? You remember, Patrick, where that? Oh, there it is. No, that's not it.
What was it? The latest blog deal?
Yeah. You have that?
Hang on 1 second. If I can track that down. That is really cool, though, Kelly. I just want to add, because it's very rare that DNN Corp adopts or even uses any other module within their system unless they consume it.
When we had the timeline kit get accepted and picked up, it was partially because they were in the middle of doing the release of the brand new website, and Clint Patterson is a member of my local Charlotte area DNN user group. That's the Queen City Doug, QC Doug. And basically, Clint had been tasked by me to help us fill out the timeline history of .NET Nuke there. We wanted to have it have a lot of good points and a lot of good pictures, and we had half the data that we gathered by Google searches and by the timelines we knew of, but we asked Clint to fill in the rest. And because of that, it gained Joe Brinkman's attention and several other people's attention at corporate, and we put it onto the Southern Fried DNN website as a timeline of .NET Nuke for the fun of it. So that went on to our own Southern Fried DNN website. And when they were in the middle of publishing the new DNN site, Joe Brinkman reached out to us, to me, through Clint, and said, hey, I'd like to use XMod Pro on a couple of things, and one of them is, would you like to place the timeline on our site? So I probably had about a week to 2 weeks advanced viewing of the brand new logos and look and website and everything for DNN software before it was released, and that was a nice privilege that they gave XMod Pro. And at the time, Joe Brinkman said that XMod Pro is one of just a handful of modules that are in the DNN software site that are not core or not custom built. And that's Kelly. I think that's one of the quotes that you put up on the new homepage of DNN Dev.
Yeah, we're not going to get a quote like that from Joe Brinkman and not put it up. So we're very proud of that. We like to toot our own horn sometimes when things like this happen. So very pleased with that. In the meantime, Patrick has found the URL for the last thing I wanted to show you.
Is it Jeremy? Comment?
Oh, I didn't know. Jeremy, sorry.
What are you talking about? The showcase page.
Oh, yeah. Huh. Yeah, that tends to be the case sometimes with projects at DNN. Yeah, you'll notice the timeline project as well. They haven't updated it since they went live. There's probably some. I don't want to speak ill of DNN in a public forum, but it probably needs some more follow through on some of the projects. But the fact remains that we are on there, and very few other modules are. So you guys are part of a select group of XModders. The last thing I wanted to show you was the most recent blog post from the DNN store. And thanks to you guys, XMod Pro is #1 in terms of must-have modules. So I thank everybody for the great reviews that you leave for us. It's a huge help in helping to support the product. So if you haven't taken the time to write a wonderful, glowing review of us, I would encourage you to do so.
Absolutely.
So that's that. Kind of in terms of presentation, as we go through with additional user group sessions, I plan on doing projects, techniques, tips, and a lot of that I want to be based on things that you guys want to learn. So one of the things I wanted to do next is open up the floor for you guys to essentially ask what you want. If you have some sort of pressing question, let us know. Either type it in the window or just go ahead and say it on your mic if you have a mic, and we'll do our best to answer it. Or if you have other suggestions for what we can do for the user group going forward, then go ahead and pipe up and let us know about that too. Anybody got any ideas, thoughts?
I'm curious as to.
Okay, hang on. Damien's first. Damien beat you. Okay,
right.
What's your question, Damien? Yes, it should be. Yeah, there are a few select tags that are available in feeds. Some tags are not available in feeds because they're really designed to be used in a web page. And feeds aren't always that way. But yeah, the select tag should be used in feeds.
The each, you mean?
The each will, yeah. Actually, there is a tag, Damien, called the JSON feed. It is, which will generate a JSON feed for you. It's a superficial feed, meaning it doesn't go develop fully fledged hierarchies in JSON, but it's usually most of what you need if you're trying to feed that into jQuery or some sort of JavaScript plugin. I'd invite you to check that out. Patrick.
Me? Well, I was just, I've got a lot of, I guess, XMod Pro passion bottled up inside me and excitement for this product, and I'm curious as to this little starting group here, and what kind of projects that people are creating, or if everyone realizes the true potential of what you can build with XMod Pro. I've literally weeded out 99% of any third-party module that I use, and anyway, it's just been a really exciting journey. So I want people to be aware of really how extensible they can make their projects and really the awesome stuff they can build. That wasn't really a question, Kelly. Other than, I am curious, what kind of people are building their careers around this product, and what kind of stuff are they building? And you get a little tidbits here and there from the answers page and stuff like that, but I'm just kind of curious, what kind of projects are people working on other than just me?
Does anybody want to share something you may be working on, or you will be working on, or you have worked on using XMod Pro?
Kind of a different branch on what Patrick was mentioning there. If everybody is just as excited about using XMod Pro and is getting a lot out of it, obviously be sure to share that with other folks that you have as friends and development partners, so that you don't let them use awful modules, that they can build their own and customize them like crazy. But getting connected with your user groups, going to community events, that's a lot of what I really enjoy doing, and I enjoy getting a lot out of talking with people at user groups and at community events to promote XMod Pro. And when I go, to your point, Patrick, about people using it, normally about 50% of the people I run across, they've either heard of XMod Pro before, or at the very least, they've used XMod Classic. But a lot of folks have tried or used XMod Pro. There's about the 50% that I run across that haven't heard of it, that then I put on my evangelizing hat for.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Todd says that he's going to be using it for online data entry. You guys are actually scanning handwritten forms or hand-typed forms. Is that right, Todd?
Or Todd, do you maybe mean Scantron, like bubble sheets?
Oh.
Wow. So yeah, I've heard of people that are still using PDF forms for things, which also stinks.
Yeah.
But so do you have a lot of forms, Todd, that you're going to be working with? Thousands.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, Kelly, maybe next time we do a Hangout, we make it a show and tell, and we all pick some of our favorite work or most challenging things, and we show off and help bolster the rest of everybody else to get inspired and excited.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. One of the things I thought we would do is at the beginning of each of our sessions, we could have people who want, they can show off their projects, talk about what they're working on, what gets them excited, and then we would have a regular, how-to kind of a session after that. I really want to, most of the time we meet via email or, unfortunately, sometimes support desk tickets, and also on the answers page of the website. And I wanted to, XMod Pro is personal for me. I've been building this product since 2004 with XMod Classic. And it really means a lot to me that people have been able to use it to get a lot of value and build a lot of stuff with. And I've been missing that kind of contact with people, and the user group is my way of trying to get in contact with you guys again and see how I can better develop XMod Pro to meet your interests and your needs, and really kind of to get excited again. I want to see what you guys are building, so I really am in favor of doing something like that. And Todd, I think you're going to really like XMod Pro much better than using scanning in forms. That really has to hurt. Hutch, Jeremy, you guys have or Todd? Oh, Todd, I was just talking to Todd. You guys have any projects?
It's interesting to me. Can you guys hear me still or not?
It's really soft.
Yeah. What happened? I stayed away from XMod Pro for a while because the other developers kept saying, this is not for the faint-hearted. This is something that somebody, that has to have some coding experience really needs to. If you don't have that, stay away from it. And I had a client, it's a trucking company, they started asking me for a bunch of billable PDF forms, and those are a pain in the ass. I just hate those things. And so I started playing around with XMod Pro. I kind of just didn't listen to the experts, and I figured out how to use the thing. And I'm not a coder, so kudos to you guys, because it's, I don't know it like you guys know it, but I've managed to do what my client needed with XMod Pro, where I couldn't do it. They had all these you know, I'd try a module and it was going okay, and then they'd come up with some weird thing that module wouldn't do. So I had to pitch that thing out. I haven't run into that with XMod. Just about everything they've asked me to do, I pull it off. Mostly with one of the reasons I'm high on that list on your website is because I ask so many damn questions.
It's good.
Questions.
It's good.
That's excellent.
It shows off to everyone else that questions get answered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So Hutch, that's great. That's kind of, well, you know, I originally built XMod, the first one, back in the day when it was .NET 2. And at that time, in order to put any kind of data up on a .NET site, you had to custom program everything. You had to build a custom module all the time, every time. Doesn't matter what it was. So if you wanted to display a list of books, there's a custom module you have to build. If you want to display a list of reviews for those books, another custom module. It doesn't even matter if the data is related. You had to build custom module after custom module. So I built XMod Pro or XMod to kind of to handle that, because every site needs to deal with data in one way, shape, or form and get it up on their site. And I needed a way to do it quickly for my clients. And so that's why I built XMod and now XMod Pro, which puts into the databases, of course. But it's great to see that you came at it with virtually no development experience and were able to tackle it with the help of timely answers on the answers page. That's great to hear. And actually, I've got a lot of things planned for not just the upcoming versions, but the next major version that will, I think, blow your socks off. So stay tuned for that. I can't say anything else about it though at the moment. It'll be easier to use though. Damien, localizable select lists. Are you talking about like a drop-down list, Damien, in a form? Or are you talking about a standard HTML? Okay. There are ways to localize it. Usually your select lists are localized in terms of data. And there are a couple of ways you can approach that, at least. And that is to have basically store the culture along with the record. And then since XMod Pro allows you to know what the current culture is for the current user,
right.
It can pass that value into your database so that you can, or to your control data source, so that you can pull in the right localized data. Or another option is you can actually have a completely different form for different cultures. So if the person is German, then you can load up a German-only form with localized labels, data. You can execute different queries, completely different queries based on what culture they're coming from. So there are basically two ways to do that. And other than that, we don't have any additional plans. I think those typically will handle most cases. Does that work for you? Type.
Kelly, I had a client, by the way, ask the same kind of thing after they had gone down the path of really making some overly complex things to make language support for their questions for forms. And it was the same type of thing. When we explained to them how localization was present, they realized it could have been a lot different than what they had done.
I was reading Damien's question or answer there while you're saying that. Can you repeat yourself?
Basically, I guess I was saying the same thing, that it gets unwieldy if you approach it in one or two other different ways. That, as you described it, is probably the best way that I've tackled it before. But perhaps to Damien's point, that works well when you got one, maybe two languages. You got 15, and yeah, it's gonna be complex.
We have a lot of clients, international clients, people who are in Europe, and they always need multi-language sites. We've got some people in South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia, and so the need is there. Since I don't do a lot of multi-language site development personally for my clients, I don't necessarily have I don't have my boots on the ground, and it's harder for me to see where your pain points are. So I am always open to suggestions or ideas you guys might have for making that process easier. It's been my experience that anytime you have to localize a site for multiple languages, the more languages you have, the harder it's going to be. It's just, in general, it's a nightmare to do. But if you have some ideas on how we can improve that, I'm all ears. I'd love to make it easier for you. You can, by the way, guys, you guys can contact me personally. Here's my email address. If you have any suggestions, ideas, questions, etc., let me know.
Does that include free training, consultation, and custom development, Kelly?
Only if you're willing to deal with me yelling at you for "leave me alone, get off my lawn, you kids." So yeah, if you really have a problem, you guys are special. You're some of the best in our community, and feel free to contact me. I get swamped with emails all the time, so I might not be as quick at responding to a personal email as I would be answering on the website or on a support desk ticket. But I'm there, and I do read those emails that come in. So especially if you have suggestions on things you'd like to see in XMod Pro, new features, let me know. Or you can actually add those ideas to the ideas page on our website. Which, let me pull up another browser here. Last question. Okay, Damien. You know we charge for each question, right? Just joking. And don't worry, there'll be additional sessions. Plenty more time to ask questions. Conditional validation of controls. What do you have in mind? Next time we're going to require you to have a mic so you can you can tell us verbally. It might make it a little bit easier.
I've actually ran into that a lot. Yeah.
Normally you have to get into jQuery and build it yourself if you want to do something like that. I'll just mention that the concept of conditional actions and conditional validation is something that you need sometimes on very specific forms. It happens when you need that. But if you open Pandora's box, sometimes you can't close it. And I think that having used other tools that are out there, DataSpring's Dynamic Forms is an example of one where they had a perfectly fine form-related product at one point in time, but it's those inundation of conditional values, conditional actions, and conditional validation that make it so that once you get a form with a certain number of fields in it, it takes forever to load. So it can be very complex to consider adding something like that in to the core of something like XMod Pro, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and people have asked for conditional display of controls and forms, and it's not that I don't want to do it. It is, I always wait until there's some way for me to do it that makes sense from a syntactic standpoint. Especially when you're dealing with conditions, it is so hard to anticipate what kinds of conditions people will want. And these would need to be custom built validation controls. Most of what we're relying on, not everyone, but most of them are in XMod Pro right now are based on the ASP.NET validation controls, which simply don't have that capability. So if ASP.NET doesn't really have that capability, you know how hard it can be to do that for a mass audience. And so that's why we don't have something like that at this stage. Again, ideas for implementation and syntax are always welcome. I'm not, I don't have every single idea in the world. You guys, a lot of you guys are developers, or even if you're not, you might go, hey, this would work if we did this. And it might be something I haven't thought of. So please feel free to share with me your thoughts. Jeremy says that he had an idea. Let's see, what is this? Navigate URL. So what's your use case there, Jeremy? Can you? Yeah. Okay. Let's just. Okay. See you, Hutch. All right.
I do have an idea for Damien. Before I forget, if I'm not interrupting too harshly.
An idea for Damien? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I've run into that. As far as someone doesn't have JavaScript enabled. My personal opinion is if you don't have JavaScript enabled, you're working in a protected environment within a particular place that doesn't allow it, or you're up to no good and you're out there causing problems. The web pretty much relies on JavaScript, but there is a workaround. You can use jQuery or JavaScript to have client-side validation, and then you can do custom database validation. So in your SQL procedure that handles your submit, that's when you can check in certain case scenarios. If the value of such and such parameter equals true and value of another is empty, then you can throw an error back. So you can still perform your validation. It's just it does get a little complicated.
Okay. We've gone about an hour. Just wanted to show you guys one more thing, and it's not. This is not really promotional, but I did want to show you. If you haven't been to our site since our redesign, you should really go. We have added a guide here, which hopefully will surface a lot more of the articles that we've written, and we're adding more articles now. So here's one. Here's the latest one by Ryan. Oh, I got a share screen, don't I? I thought you were all living in my head. Okay, try this again. Here, sharing screen now. So this is the guide. Spent a lot of time working on it. We have a work in progress, a beginner's guide, which would have been good, although Hutch has already passed beginner at this stage. I'll be continuing to add more articles to this section. But you can also filter our articles by topic, so templates. It'll filter there. Any database articles will be filtered like so, and getting started articles. If you click on any of the article, it will pop up inline, and you can read through it. So I wanted to show you that. And the other thing that we've added even more recently is the add-ons page. And I don't know if you're familiar with this or not. If you haven't visited, I would encourage you to do so. Basically, we want to help you if you're developing add-ons or plugins or solutions that are built with XMod Pro that you want to sell. We'll not only post on here the add-on, you can see the ones we have so far, but we're planning on making this adding an e-commerce component to this, so you'll be able to sell directly from our site without having to worry about it. And we won't charge as much as Snowcover does in terms of commission for it. Our goal really is to try to get you in front of people who need to use your plugin or control. So I would encourage you to browse through these and see if there's anything you like, and also develop plugins, custom controls, etc. for XMod Pro. I'm going to be writing some articles, and I want to do some developer evangelism, for lack of a better word, and help anybody who wants to get into this space, who wants to start creating custom controls or views, even custom actions for forms. I'm here for you, so just contact me at that email address if you want to learn more, and I'll help you out as much as I can. That is, I think that's really all I have. Let me make sure. Yeah. So now, do you guys have any other suggestions, thoughts, questions before we hang up for this time?
I'm excited. I don't have anything. I'm kind of excited about seeing what people are building.
Yeah.
I was going to say let's make sure that it's not too long until we get together again. Maybe we do this every other month, and we all connect, and you help host, and we all talk to each other. Love it.
Yeah, I plan on having a session at least once a month.
All right.
And I might actually have 2 sessions, one for us in America or in North America, and one for those who are in international time zone, Europe specifically. One thing I've thought about, and I'd like to get your good, Jeremy. One thing I would like to get your feedback on is, would you like to have something more frequently? Not necessarily a user group, but maybe you get together maybe every other week where we maybe work through a particular technique or a project. Does that sound like something you guys would be interested in joining?
Silence.
Yeah, half the people have microphones off, so
Yeah.
There's only, aside from me and Patrick, you've got one other with a microphone. So look for the tweets. We got yeses here. Yeah.
Okay. Do any of you want to learn how to build custom things for XMod Pro, like custom form controls, custom actions, other tags? Okay. Todd's in. Good. Because one of the things I thought I might do is make that a regular session as well. Because I really would like to encourage you. I mean, you don't even have to sell these. These become very handy when you're trying to solve complex problems for your clients. Of course, I would like for you to be able to share your solutions you've built with everybody else too. So at least Todd's interested in that. Damien, maybe. Yes, Damien. These will be recorded. So that you can watch it whenever if you're not able to make it. Okay, okay, that works. Just reading Jeremy's answer there. So, if there's nothing else, please watch your inboxes. Watch our user group page. Actually, the DNN page would probably be.
Kelly, let me interrupt for a second. Hey, Todd. We have a module kit and a training blog that we've been working on for far too long that is on dynamic charts and comparing and contrasting different charting methods that are out there, from Google Charts to HTML5 charts and a few others that are out there that are really interesting. As soon as we have that out, we'll definitely ping you and let you know it's there.
And I just added in the URL to our Google Plus page, which is where we'll post things, our new videos and notifications about these sessions that we're going to be having. So stay tuned to that. Go ahead and follow us, or follow that page, and we'll be all set. If anybody has any parting thoughts, I'd love to hear it. Otherwise, we'll adjourn until next time.
I enjoyed it.
Great time connecting with folks.
Great, good job. Very nice.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. See ya.
Yep. Good night.